Hello everyone. We would be talking about roles and responsibilities of various stakeholders of the WLA model. So, when we talk about the WLA model uh, of the ATM management, the first stakeholder that we would be talking about is known as a WLA operator. So, WLA operator. According to Reserve Bank of India, there are certain responsibilities and roles that the WLA operator has to fulfill. The first among them is that only and only after RBI permits, okay, after RBI authorizes, after the authorization of RBI, after the authorization of RBI, then and then these entities should commence their business. Okay, these entities can commence their business. Now, this authorization which is given by RBI is under the Payment and Settlement System Act, Payment and Settlement System Act 2007. Okay, the second condition that or the second role and responsibility that these organizations have to fulfill is that they have to declare, they shall declare one bank as a sponsor bank who will be acting as a settlement bank for all the transactions which have been undertaken by the WLA operator. So they have to declare one sponsor bank which would act as a settlement bank, which acts as settlement bank for all the service transactions, for all the transactions undertaken by the WLA, undertaken at WLA. सो WLA में जितने भी ट्रांजेक्शन्स होते हैं उन सभी को सेटल करने के लिए एक सेटलमेंट बैंक या स्पॉन्सर बैंक को वहाँ पे आपने डिक्लेयर करना है. एंड वंस यू डिक्लेयर इट एज अ स्पॉन्सर बैंक, इट इज़ द वन थ्रू विच ऑल द ट्रांजेक्शन्स गेट रूटेड थ्रू. द थर्ड कंडीशन इज it should be noted that the sponsor bank, okay, sponsor bank should be a member of ATM networks, of ATM network, and should be a member who is authorized for RTGS settlements, should be a member of RTGS as well, so that gross settlements can be undertaken and in one go. Then the third criteria or the condition is that cash management should be entrusted to a sponsor bank, to the sponsor bank. So the third criteria or the third role and responsibility, cash management is entrusted to sponsor bank, and who makes the necessary arrangement in for the particular white label ATMs, who make necessary arrangements Okay, these necessary arrangements would be made by the bank, so that the WLA operator or his agents can have access to cash at any given point of time. Then the fourth role and responsibility that they have to fulfill is that transactions have to be settled. The settlement of transactions at ATM shall be done only in books of sponsored bank through the ATM network, with whom the WLA operator has established connectivity. So transactions have to be settled in the book of the operator of the sponsored bank. Transactions have to be settled in the books of the sponsor बैंक. स्पॉन्सर बैंक के बुक्स में ही ये वाले ट्रांजेक्शन सेटल होते हैं. एंड the last thing or the last role and responsibility that these WLA operators have to undertake is that maintenance and servicing of the WLA. Maintenance and servicing is the responsibility of the WLA operator. So these are the roles and responsibilities that a particular WLA operator has to fulfill. Now let's move on to understand the roles and responsibilities of a sponsor bank. So what does a sponsor bank do in this case? So a sponsor bank has basically two responsibilities, majorly two responsibilities. First one is cash management. So the responsibility as regards to cash management. So when we talk about cash management, the first responsibility that the sponsor bank has to undertake is that the sponsor bank would be responsible for cash management at WLA, responsible for cash management for cash management at WLA, and it has to ensure that adequate cash is always available at WLA. ओके, WLA के पास हमेशा कैश अवेलेबल हो, ये इंश्योर करना स्पॉन्सर बैंक की जिम्मेदारी है. As regards to availability of funds for cash loading, suitable arrangement has to be made between WLA and the sponsor bank as to how the cash would be arranged in order to fill up in the ATM machines. Then the second role that the sponsor bank has to fulfill is that ownership of the cash which is to be loaded in the white label ATMs will be included in reconciliation of the cash at WLA, and appropriate accounting of excess cash is to be undertaken by the sponsor bank. Ownership of cash loaded and its reconciliation for excess cash, if any, has to be undertaken by स्पॉन्सर बैंक. स्पॉन्सर बैंक ही ये काम करता है और कोई नहीं करता है. द थर्ड वन इज sponsor bank may enter into tie-ups with other banks for loading and reconciliation of cash. Okay, tie-ups for loading and reconciliation of cash with other banks, so that the transactions become much more smoother. Okay, wherein the WLA, if for example in the WLA location there is no cash, and the cash is to be required to be submitted in that particular region, then the tie-ups can be created so that the cash is supplied to the WLA operator on time. In such a case, the cash managing bank will have the same responsibilities as indicated in the above section. That is, cash management के लिए जो भी responsibilities हमने पहले डिस्कस की थी वही यहाँ पे भी एप्लीकेबल हो जाती हैं अगर किसी और बैंक के साथ में टाई अप किया गया है. The second major responsibility of the sponsor bank is regarding customer grievance redressal. Customer grievance redressal. So customer grievance redressal basically is related to what does the customer, if for example it is facing any type of problem, or they are facing any type of problem, what is the duty of the sponsor bank in this case? By and large, whenever a customer has faced a problem regarding any grievance related to failed ATM transaction, the first and foremost responsibility lies with the issuing bank. Responsibility of failed ATM transaction. So let's write it down. Responsibility of failed ATM transaction lies with the issuing bank, and sponsor bank should provide necessary support in this regard. So this is what has to be done because for this purpose the particular sponsor bank might have to undertake certain arrangement with the WLA operator. Then the second condition, the second responsibility with the sponsor bank in case of customer grievance redressal is that resolution of complaint of failed transactions or failed ATM transaction would be applicable here as well. Any delay in resolution would be attributed to the sponsor bank or the WLA operator. So in case of failure, okay, so 7 days के अंदर में resolution हो जाना चाहिए in case of ATM transaction failure. It has to be resolved in 7 days, or the sponsor bank or WLA operator would be held responsible. ओके, WLA ऑपरेटर या फिर हमारा जो भी इशूइंग बैंक है उसे हम लोग रिस्पॉन्सिबल मान लेते हैं. The third major area wherein or the third major stakeholder in case of a white label ATM is the ATM network operator. This is the third one, ATM network operator. So ATM network operator is the third stakeholder in this case. The third stakeholder, the responsibilities of this third stakeholder includes that they should offer direct connectivity, to the WLA operator, for facilitating transactions, for facilitating sorry facilitating transactions and settlement and their settlement. After that, for this purpose, prerequisite approvals from RBI has to be sought. Further, they bring the WLA operator under ambit of network operating guidelines and dispute resolution mechanisms which are set place by the RBI. Bring them into the network operating guidelines, and dispute resolution mechanism. This ensures that without fail, the transactions which are undertaken through the white label ATMs are also coming under the control of Reserve Bank of India. Then there are certain general conditions or general responsibilities that have to be fulfilled. Among them, the first one is regarding the ATM network operator. Okay, there is to be a tripartite agreement between ATM network operator then WLA operator and sponsor bank. For undertaking issues or for addressing issues related to the interbank settlements of transactions, this has to be maintained. Okay, tripartite agreement में ये चीज़ें लिखी जाती हैं. And the second one is that all the relevant provisions and guidelines issued by various departments of Reserve Bank of India have to comply with them. So guidelines related to ATMs would be applicable on WLAs as well. Okay, WLAs के ऊपर भी वो वाले वो वाली चीज़ें applicable हो जाती हैं. So we'll be talking about the one type of WLA which is launched by the Tata Communications Private Solutions Limited, which is known as IndiCash, in the next lecture. Thank you.